Okay, Marissa, you're going first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay. M- Most people see this and think it's just a big pair of headphones, but to a pilot, this headset is one of the most important tools in the cockpit. Today, I want to inform you a little bit about the pilot headset, what it is, how it works, and why it is so essential for flight safety. I'll start by explaining how it functions, then talk briefly about how it develops, and finish why it is so important for pilots. What it is and how it works. A pilot headset allows clear communication between the pilot and co-pilot and air traffic control. Airplanes are very loud and engine noises can reach up to like 100 decibels or more, which can cause a lot of ear pain in the future. This headset uses noise canceling technology to block that sound so pilots can hear instructions clearly. It also has a microphone on the boom that stays right next to the pilot's mouth and a push dock. Some of them have push docks so that they can speak only when needed. The first aviation headsets appeared in the 1930s. They were bulky and uncomfortable with very little sound clarity. Over time, as planes became faster and louder, engineers developed more materials, better materials, and active noise reduction technology that can cancel out engine noises more clearly. Today, brands like Boss and David Clark make headsets that are lightweight, comfortable, and highly precise. Communication in aviation has to be perfect. One misunderstood message can cause a major problem. Headsets protect the pilot's hearing and reduce fatigue on long flights. They also help maintain focus and teamwork between crew members. In a sense, the headset is a pilot's connection to the rest of the world. It keeps everyone safe, both in the air and on the ground. So today we learned what a pilot headset does, a little bit about how it was developed and why it's so important to flight history. To most people, it's just another gadget, but for a pilot, it's a headset. This is a lifeline. It's how they stay connected, focused, and in control. It may just look like a pair of headphones, but for a pilot, it is a vital link that keeps communication clear, focus sharp, and every flight safe.
Okay. So you met the time limit. Your eye contact, I believe you were reading, right? Your eye contact. Look in your camera.
Yeah, this is for my camera.
That's your camera?
Yeah,
Uh, looks like you're looking away from us.
no.
Usually when you look into your camera, you can see you're looking straight ahead. So now we can see you. Okay. Um, you had a good introduction. You had a good closing. Summary statement was there, meaning the message, and good closing remark. The visual was effective. You did show it uh, often, so that was good as well. Still out on that eye contact though. Now, first of all, your third main point was persuasive. Now, I'm going to tell everybody this now because in the assignment itself, there was a example in there and it was the wrong example. It should not have been there. While we were in class, I showed you the example that you should look at. So I'm going to take some of the responsibility for the error because it shouldn't have been in there. That's not the right example. So some people were using that example as their guide. But anytime you're asking about I mean, anytime you're speaking about the importance of something or the benefits of something, that generally is persuasive. Okay. And you don't know this yet because we haven't talked about persuasion. However, this is a particular type of persuasive speech called a persuasive speech on question of fact. It looks a whole lot like an informative speech. How you can tell the difference is when you can get on the other side of an argument about it. Okay. So, for example, I had a student earlier telling us all about regular exercise and it'll prevent this and it'll prevent that and it'll help this. And it's important for you to exercise. You really need to exercise. You have to exercise. However, somebody could get on the other side of that argument, right? A lot of people can say, oh, well, what are you talking about? I never exercised a day in my life. I'm still living. Okay. Again, there's some misconceptions about exercise. For example, if you have breast, it's not going to prevent you from getting breast cancer. I don't care how much you work out. Okay. Where it's going to help you is on the recovery side. Because a person who has breast cancer, who works out a lot, is going to recover better, faster than someone who did not exercise. Okay. So we see that there is another side of the argument. People can say, no, I hardly drink any water. That was the example in the assignment about the importance of drinking water. And there were several things wrong with that example, and it's used as a tool to pick it apart. So it should not have been in that assignment. Okay, so I do apologize for that error. But someone could argue, well, I don't drink a lot of water. And you might be dehydrated, but you probably won't die from that. So someone can get on the other side of the argument. So generally things about that qualify and talk about importance and benefits, those are persuasive speeches. They look a lot like the informative speech, but it's not, because the purpose is different. The purpose of an informative speech is to convey knowledge and understanding. You just give the facts. No opinions are permitted, nor is a closing remark that gives some type of call to action. When you're telling somebody to do something or you want them to think something. Now, these speeches on question of fact, these persuasive speeches on question of fact, you have to be careful with them. Even if you don't tell them to do something, there's the purpose, the intent of the message. Okay, like a student was giving a speech on global warming. This the I asked the speaker, what is your intent? Like, what do you want us to learn from? I want everybody to understand and not pollute the earth. Okay. So her intentions was to change people's thinking or to get them to do something. So think about it in that manner. What are you really trying to do? When you give a speech about exercise, you want them to exercise. You want people to take heed and get healthy, right? So just keep that in mind when you are developing your informative speech. A lot of these speeches, and you did well, Marissa, in not giving us a call to action at the end. Because a lot of times when you do give a speech like this, you're almost forced at the end to say, so remember, the next time you're doing this, do X, Y, and Z. Okay? Those are what we call calls to action. And it has no place in your informative speech. Okay? Informative speeches, there's different types about objects, processes, okay, events, or some type of concept or belief about something. So just keep that in mind. I did not take off for anybody if you did use that persuasive speech in your outline. But going forward, I will on that big informative speech that is worth the most points. Now, earlier today, some students were confused, and the working outline that they submitted was for their object speech today. So those are two different speeches. The speeches in class that we do as impromptu are all practice speeches. Okay, they're practice speeches. The informative speech and the persuasive speech at the end, they are real speeches. And I'm going to grade them based on the rules and guidelines for those speeches. Okay, everybody got it? All right. Okay. The other thing I wanted to say about a speech like this, Marissa, is it really does have varying ideas. Okay, so you're going to tell us what it is. Then you're going to tell us how does it work. Then you're going to tell us why it's important, right? But basically, you have to give an informative speech about an object, a process, an event, or a concept. Now, yes, it was about an object, but you told us varying things about it. You have to hone in on a specific purpose that's more concise in what you want to tell us about that. So, for instance, those quote main points that you gave, that would be your Roman numeral 1 in the body, your A, your introduction, your body, and your conclusion. That's what those thoughts would be. That's where those ideas would go. There. Okay, so I'm going to tell the people what this is. So probably some of that is going to be right up in the introduction. I'm going to tell people how it works. Well, that's what you're supposed to tell us because it's a speech about an object, right? So you're supposed to tell us how it works. That's really what the speech is about. How does this object work? So any other things that you're telling us about, they're different ideas because you're either describing it, explaining it, but it's very broad when you say, I'm going to tell you what it is. That's very broad. And remember, central ideas need to be concise. Okay? So a lot of things could fit under that category. Those categories that you gave, you could say a lot of different things there. So just remember that. Be more concise in what you're talking about. And this is going to come together for you by the end of the class. If you're still on the fence about some of this that I'm talking about now. Okay. Thank you, Marissa. You did a good job for a first try. Now, I hope everyone has viewed my lecture on informative speaking. If you have not, please do so, because there's some important information in there about informative speeches. As well, I've shown you a couple of times the informative speech parameters is what it's called. Okay, but it's actually the directions. It's actually the directions. It looks like this. You recall looking at that? I put it up at least twice in the class already. Okay, you need to review this because these are the instructions for your speech. We'll talk about this some more up until we have the speech. But Marissa, the main points were clear in that we knew what they were, but we want to be a little more concise in expressing them. Okay, who's next?
I can go next.
Okay. All right, Rihanna.
I'll go after Kurt if you want to go before me.
Oh, okay. Turn off your audio. No. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So today I'm going to be sharing about a coin. Imagine a group of service members gathered together after a long day, and then suddenly one of them places a coin like this on the table. Instantly, everybody's going to reach into their pocket and they're going to grab their own. The rule's simple. It's a military tradition. If you don't have your coin, you buy the next round. What might sound like a friendly game actually represents one of the most meaningful traditions in US military history, the challenge coin. Today, I'm going to share what challenge coins are and what they represent. And like I said, I have my own, my first flight coin. A challenge coin is a small, specifically designed coin or medallion that displays an organization's insignia, like this, emblem, or motto. Every branch of the US military uses them, from the Army, the Navy, or in my case, the Air Force. And they aren't medals or ribbons. But they do hold a deeply personal meaning. Challenge coins are often given to recognize excellence, dedication, or participation in a mission. Receiving one is an important sign. It's a reminder that you are and have done something greater than yourself. This is my first flight coin. It was given to me after my first operational mission flight during my time in the US Air Force. It's a keepsake, and even more importantly, it's a symbol of one of my greatest accomplishments. Today, the challenge coin is still a really important part of military culture, as it's seen when commanders, generals, or even presidents present coins to exceptional service members for their acts of courage or their accomplishments. For many veterans, each coin tells a story of where they've been, who they've served with, and what they achieved together. Just like my first flight coin, each one represents a chapter in a person's service and a lasting connection to their military family. Even beyond the military, police departments, firefighters, government agencies, all of them have different ways of honoring. And in the US Air Force, our way was through the challenge coin. So next time you see somebody holding up a challenge coin like this, remember that it's more than a piece of metal. It's a symbol. It's a small reminder of the service, sacrifice, and shared experience that all militaries or all military members hold in common. In the US military, while a coin like this may fit in your hand, it does, in fact, carry a weight of history, honor, and stories of those who have served in the past.
Okay. 55, so you met the time. Look into that camera a little more. Increase that eye contact.
Okay, sorry. It's tough because like I'm like making eye contact with the picture of you, not directly with the
Right.
camera.
I know I do it all the time during class too. Um, so what I like to tell students is in your speaking outline, you might want to put a verbal cue over in the margin to say, to remind you, look at that camera. Look at that camera. Um, and then while you're, looking at your speaking outline, you will see it, and then that will jog your memory to look into the camera. Again, those closing remarks. Oh, your visual was very effective. You kept it up. We saw it. We definitely know what you were talking about with that visual. The closing remarks. So you did a great job with the meaning of the message. You gave your summary statement, but at the end, you gave a what? Call to action. You told us, remember, say it again. You're ending.
The ending, it
The
was
closing.
remember that it's more than a piece of metal, I guess.
Yes.
Um,
He said, so
so it's,
remember, the next time you see a coin,
oh
or
yeah, next time you see a coin like this one,
I want
remember.
you to think, right? So you're telling the audience to do something. So that's what we call the call to action. And it belongs in a persuasive speech, not an informative speech. So just be mindful of that when
So
you.
what would be like an effective conclusion then? Because normally in like in form of papers, I'll still end with something that might sound similar to that. Like how would you want to conclude something like this then?
Well, you could ask a rhetorical question. I always tell students, go back to the attention getting devices. You could ask a rhetorical question. You could go get a quote. I think you did that very well in your last speech. The impressive person. Didn't you do a quote at the end?
I did, yeah.
You could do something like that that relates back to the introduction. But whatever it is that you're saying, don't tell someone to do something. So it's kind of subtle, but you're telling them. So the next time, remember, the next time this happens, you should do this. Okay, first you told them to remember, then you told them to think a certain way. That's what you want them to remember, to think a certain way.
So so like in mine, the exact wording was the next time you see somebody holding a challenge coin, remember that it's more than a piece of metal. It wasn't really asking them to do anything. It was just more
So
of
take
like
out,
all the
yeah,
stuff I just said,
okay, go ahead.
like all the stuff I just said, just don't forget it, I guess. Like, is
Well,
that the call to
well,
action?
I think the last part would be okay. Say it again. Say it again.
So the only time I like put like I guess you might think this is a call to action would be it says the next time you see someone holding a coin like this one, remember that it's more than just a piece of metal. And then I go on to say it symbolizes this and this and this. So I didn't tell
Right.
them to think of
So take
it,
that
just
first part out. So the next time you look at this, remember this. Don't tell them to do anything
okay.
because it's what we call a call to action. The rest of what you said was okay. You could still say that that coin, what that coin means when you said, so remember, next time you see this coin, then what was the next thing you said after that?
Um just remember it's more than a piece of metal.
Okay. This coin is more than a piece of metal. Okay. You don't have to give any instructions at the end for someone to do something or think something. Just tell them. That's
Okay.
the difference between an informative closing, and a persuasive one. And persuasion can be very subtle. It can be very subtle, but it still is persuasive.
Okay.
Good job. Good job. Very good job. The main points were clear. Again, you kind of were telling us, I'm going to tell you what this is, and then I'm going to tell you this. Okay. We want to be very, very concise what we're talking about and inform in the central idea. All right. Okay, very good, Kurt. Thank you so much. Oh, right in the beginning, you said, okay, I'm gonna talk about this coin, and then you did your attention getter. So remember, do the attention getter first, then your reveal. Don't tell the audience, I'm going to talk about this, and then start your speech with your attention getter. Start the speech with the attention getter. Okay. All right. Okay, who's next?
I'll go next.
That's right. Come on, Rayana. I lost my.
Okay.
Hold on.
Um,
Okay, I lost my mouse. Okay, we're ready.
okay. Hello, everyone. This small device plays a big role in most people's life today. It lets us control the TV from the couch. Today, I will be talking about a TV remote, and I'm going to tell you where it came from, how it works, and why it's made such a big difference in our daily lives. The first remote was invented in the 1950s and was called the lazy phone. It was connected by lone wire, which was not convenient. In 1955, the first wireless remote was invented and was called the Flashmatic. It used a beam of light to change channels, which was the new technology at that time. In the 1960s, remote used sound waves instead of light. By the 1980s, infrared remotes became the most common types, which are the kind we use today. The remote sends invisible signals to the TV, and the TV sensor picks up the signals, allowing people to change the channels and volume. Modern remotes connect through Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and others connect through voice commands. Users can also speak to control the TV. The remote has changed how we interact with technology. We no longer need to walk across the room, and it also brought convenience and comfort and sets the standard for smart home devices. The remote is a small tool, but a big intervention. It represents years of creativity and progress from wired to voice activated. It makes life simpler and entertainment easier. This little device gives us the power to sit back and relax and control the TV with one click.
Okay, good closing remark. 5, you met the time. Now, I would say your eye contact was good. Your visual effect, you just put it up one time and that was it. Now, we all kind of do know what a remote looks like, but you need to get in the habit. If you're explaining the object, excuse me, you should frequently show it for your audience to see. So be mindful of that. Statement was good. You had a good introduction. I think you could have been a little more concise in your um, central idea, uh, but your introduction was good. Okay, thank you, Rihanna. Who'd like to go next?
I can go.
Okay.
Oh, ready?
Yes.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. So today, I'd like to introduce you to a very versatile tool that's honestly become a staple in a lot of workshops, makerspaces, and creative studios around the world. So the tool in question is known as the Dremel engraver. So if we can dissect this at its core, the Dremel engraver is a handheld rotary tool for precision. It's used for etching and carving. So it allows users to inscribe designs to text, inscribe text or patterns into a wide range of materials. So these materials include wood, metals, plastics, glass, and even leather. So honestly, what really sets this apart is its ability to be able to deliver finer control, if you will, and making it ideal for both detailed artistic work and practical labeling tasks. So a big part of this tool that makes it very handy for us as artists or just your home DIYers is that's very small. The tips are interchangeable, and it's something that either a professional can use or, again, just a DIYer at home. In specifics, the Dremel engraver is more than just a tool. It's a gateway for creativity, for precision, and again, whether you're an artist, a hobbyist, or a professional that working in a studio, it offers a simple yet powerful way for you to literally leave your mark in whatever you choose. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Yep. You met the time frame. Very good. You had great eye contact. Um, your visuals pretty good. I wish you had like taken the core out and let us actually really see it. But you did keep it up for most of the time. You had a good closing remarks. And tell us your central idea again. You're on a mute.
Sorry, I couldn't hit me on mute. So I said I'd like to introduce you to a versatile tool. Let me get my notes real quick. And that's become a staple in workshops, maker spaces, and creative studios around the world.
So say that again.
So I'd like to introduce you to a versatile tool that's become a staple in workshops, maker spaces, and creative studios around the world. Subsequently, the Dremel engraver. So.
Okay. So we got a little figurative language in there. You said it is the staple of so we want to use the language that we need to use. It I do need I maybe have to look that up because it may be in the dictionary. of the meaning, that it really does mean something else. But that's kind of like a figurative language there. It's a staple of whatever. What's your main points?
So describing at its core, the main point was at its core, the Dremel engraver is a handheld rotary tool designed for precision etching and carving, essentially. That's main point number one. Main point number two was breaking it down that the engraver is small, with interchangeable with interchangeable pointed tips, and used for various tasks, essentially.
Okay, so you had two main points.
Yes, ma'am.
The first one was telling us what it is,
Yes.
and you included 3 adjectives with that, right? Okay. And then the second one was, tell me the second one again.
Breaking it down how it works. So the engraver uses a small pointed tip, and whatnot, and how it works, essentially.
Okay, so that's really what your speech is about. So the what part of it, right? So you say, oh, I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm going to tell you how it works. Okay. The what part of it is going to be the very beginning of your central idea. Okay. The whatever the name of it is a tool we use in the workshop, that, and then what it's used for, okay, or how it's used, the process for using tell me the name of that again.
The Dremel engraver.
Dremel, okay. I'm going to call it the DE. Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, so today I'm going to tell you the process of how the works from, and then what the steps are or how it works, you know. So you were going to tell us first how do you turn it on, how it does there, and you're going to tell us all information like that. So that's why I said in a working outline, what it is going to be that first Roman numeral I. What is it? And then Roman numeral 2 is going to be the process, because that's really what you're going to talk about, because it's a speech about processes, right? Or you're going to tell us how it works. So I think we're getting the hang of this now, right?
Yeah.
Where if you decide you're going to give these broad, ambiguous statements as your main points, you need to really try to think about, what is it that I'm trying to do in this speech? Is this a speech about process? Is this a speech about events? Is this a speech about, you have to be mindful, what type of informative speech am I going to give? And what am I specific? What's the purpose? Well, the purpose is to tell the students about this process. The purpose is not so broad of, well, I'm just going to tell you what it is, how it works. Right? That's really two ideas, the way you present it. But you can get those ideas in, but you just have to do it in a strategic way. Okay? Because what are you going to say the main point? Actually, that's why you're struggling with it. You're going to say, so the main point of what it is. it's hard to put that in a sentence that you can now elaborate on it. All you can really do is tell us what it is. See, that's why it's part of the central idea. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Let me see. We got everything. Yep. The introduction. At first, I thought you were starting off with an attention getter. But then when I asked you what was your central idea, you said it was that. So be mindful. You need to have that opening, that attention getter, gaining that audience's attention before you reveal the topic. Because you kind of like, then you said something else. And so I was like, okay, that was not really, because you didn't tell us what it was. You just said, I'm going to introduce you to something that you can use. So that's why I thought it was the attention getter. But in actuality, that was basically your reveal of your purpose. So be mindful. Go back and look at it. Have I met all the things that I'm supposed to do? Oh, well, in my central idea, in my specific purpose, I need to be very concise. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to tell my audience how this works. Really. You're not really telling us the history of it, okay? The importance of it. That's not really what you're telling us. And so when you come broad like that, I'm telling you what it is. That's why you're coming with all this other stuff. You gotta make certain that you hone in on what it is you really want to talk to us about. And stay there. Focus on that. Because it can get your audience a little confused. All right. Good job, Joe. All right. People are insisting on saying thank you is the last thing. I keep saying don't do that. If you want to thank somebody and you want to do it in the conclusion, you can, but do it right before the last thing you say. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. And let me leave you with this one last thought. All right. Because we don't want the last thing the person hears is thank you. I know people do it all the time. People do it all the time. And even your book makes some reference to that. But many speech writers know, like sometimes they do it because they know the audience is expecting it. Even though they may know, well, you really shouldn't do it right there. Because the closing remark is the closing remark. The closing remark is the thing you want these people to remember long after the speech is done. Okay. It really wraps up everything you've been saying in one neat package. All right. Who's next?
You go next, Professor.
Hold on. 19. Okay, Muhammad. You ready?
You've probably seen a lot of people wear these AirPods. I use them every day, whether I'm listening to music, taking a call at work, or catching on some podcast while driving. They have become such a normal part of our lives. We don't even think about how cool they are. Today, I want to share a few quick things about how they actually work and how they're making our lives easier. So, how they work. These little guys are connected through Bluetooth, no wires at all. Inside are tiny speaker microphones and even sensors that can tell when they are in your ears. The case they sit in isn't just a storage case, it actually charges them on the go. So you don't have to find an outlet every single time, every few minutes. It's pretty amazing how much how much technology fits into a small thing like this. How they started. Wireless earbuds actually are pretty new. They first came out around 2015. But when Apple dropped the AirPods in 2016, that changed everything. After that, every company jumped in: Samsung, Sony, JBL, you name it. Since then, they have been around and they have been getting better. Better batteries, long lasting charging, uh, power banks, noise cancellation, and voice commands. Why do they matter or why we use them? For me, they're super useful. At work, I can take hands-free calls, listen to quick training videos, move around when I'm studying, and even right now, when I'm talking with you on this call, I'm using the AirPods. So yeah, the cordless earbuds might look simple, but they have completely changed how we work, study, and relax. It is crazy to think that all this technology fits into something smaller than our fingers. Every time I use them, I remind how far technology has come and how much easier it makes our everyday life.
Okay. All right. How easy it makes our everyday life. Okay. All right. That was a good closing. You 20 did meet the time. Everybody's meeting the time tonight. I think that you forgot about your attention getting. What was your attention getting? You're muted still.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm using my phone, so it's a little harder.
Okay.
So actually, I didn't have an attention getter.
Okay.
I started with an introduction, which was like the start of everything. Like you have probably seen a lot of people use wearing these. So that was, I mean, I would say kind of my attention getter and also my introduction at the same time.
Okay, well, no, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I know.
You can't sneak it in like that. Good try, though. Good try. Good try. Um. So, and your central idea was basically the two ideas. I'm going to tell you what this is, and I'm going to tell you why it's how it works, or something like that. You said. But in the meaning of the message, you kind of did get more concise about really what you want to tell us about that. See, what you really want to tell us about those ear pods. Now you can't make the object itself as your attention getter. So then you went on to just use a pronoun to talk about the earbuds. They do this, they do that, they. You have to, and then when you said your central idea, you basically, I mean, your main point, you said, so how it works, right? That's not a good central idea. You need to say in a full declarative sentence, the ear pods, blank, 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 whatever you're going to tell us about the ear pods. Okay? Don't cut it short. Don't expect your audience to know what you're talking about. You have to be very, very clear when you state and express these main points. A lot of times, students will give a connective to the main point, but then they don't say the main point. They feel like, oh, well, that's repetitive. I just said it. Well, that's the whole point, to be repetitive. As an effective speaker, it's part of your job. It is your job, not part. That is your job to make certain that the message gets across the way you intend it to get across. You don't want to take a shortcut when you are giving your main points. You need to state those main points very clearly to your audience in a full sentence. Don't act like it's your working outline, right? We just shooting off ideas.
So if I'm a professor, when I say how it works, it was like a kind of a pivot for my central idea, and then I will explain how it works. It wasn't like, that's my central idea. So how it works, where they came from, or something like that. It's just in order to like, uh, connect the two the central ideas with what I'm talking about.
Okay, so what's your central idea?
So the central idea was how they work. So then I explain like how do they work. So I would say that, for example, they are wireless. They are connected with Bluetooth. They have microphones, and they are stored in a case. But that case is not just a storage unit. It's also something that charge the earbuds as well. And then when I say like how they started, so then it's just a pivot, and then I will explain like how they started, like what year they started, and uh, what are the changes, like different companies that makes it and something like that. So I would say like the three central ideas that I was thinking about is how they work, how they started, and why they matter. But I
But we
I
know we have to
just
be a little more clear. That's too broad. There's too much information you're trying to give about it.
yeah, but afterwards I'm trying to explain it. Isn't make sense? It would explain it to the listener when I try to explain it. And for example, it's like a title, like when I say how they started, and then I will explain how they started.
Well, I'm not persuaded by your argument you're making, but you have an opinion. You can share it if you want to, but I'm not going to tell you that's correct. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, what else did I want to tell you? The visual, it was okay. You did show, but you never took the ear pods out of the case.
they were in my ear.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know.
I did point to them, like when I was saying that, right now I'm on this call, so I'm using AirPods.
Okay. All right. I missed that. I'm sorry.
Like, fine.
All right. The closing remark was good at the end. The introduction, again, you can work on that some more.
Uh,
Okay. Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you, Professor.
Who's next?
I can go next.
You can go next.
Okay, John.
All right. Think about for a moment the last time you saw someone wearing a necktie. Maybe it was at a wedding, a job interview, or a formal ceremony. It's such a small accessory, yet it always seems to signal something important is happening. We see neckties everywhere, in schools, in offices, and even in politics. Yet few people realize how much history and meaning is tied into that simple knot. Whether you wore one or not, the necktie has always shaped the way that we express professionalism and confidence. The necktie represents social meaning and evolving style in professional life. I've always been fascinated by how presentation affects your perception, from your school uniforms to your business attire. And I've researched credible fashion historians and design publications. But today, I'll be discussing three aspects of the necktie: the craftsmanship, design about how it's made, the symbolism about what it communicates, and how it's adapted in modern times. So let's begin by looking at what actually goes into making a necktie and why that craftsmanship matters. Quality necktie isn't just a strip of fabric, it's a carefully engineered design. Most ties are made from silk because of its durability and smooth shape, although cotton and wool are also common. A tie structure involves three main parts: the blade, the tail, and the interlining. The interlining gives the tie its weight and prevents wrinkling. Even color is very intentional. Designers use psychology when they choose shades. Blue ties convey calmness and trust, and that makes them very relevant in the professional field. Now that we understand how a tie is made, let's look at what it means when we wear one. The necktie has always symbolized respect and professionalism. Wearing one communicates that you take an occasion seriously. That's why many political leaders and executives and teachers, they choose blue ties. This projects honesty and confidence without seeming aggressive. The necktie is also part of nonverbal communication. A good tie can express your individuality, your care, and your attention to detail. In short, it tells others that you respect the setting and the people around you. Of course, not everybody wears ties every day, so we're going to look at how this accessory fits into the modern world. Today, many workplaces have shifted towards business casual, but the necktie still endures in part of society. Even as dress codes loosen, ties are tools for self-expression. Whether you're wearing it for fashion, ceremony, or professionalism, the blue tie continues to communicate care, effort, and intention. And these never go out of style. So today, we looked at the craftsmanship that keeps a tie functional and elegant, the symbolism that gives it meaning, and the modern adaptations that keep it relevant. Ralph Lauren, famous fashion designer, once said, "Fashion isn't about labels, it's about something that comes from within you." And that's what the necktie is. That's what really makes the necktie timeless. It's not about looking sharp. It's not just about looking sharp, but it's about tying together history, identity, and purpose.
Okay. Excellent closing remarks. Excellent closing remarks. You went over a little bit by 1 minute. I thought that you could look at us a little more. So be mindful of that, read a little less. And that's the same comment I have for you too, Mohammed. Read a little less and look at us more. So how do we do that? We practice, and practice some more. And as I was saying earlier, you can put that in your speaking outline. I believe this assignment did ask you to prepare a speaking outline, but it's nothing that you have to submit. Okay, it's not for you to submit, it's just to get you in a habit of using it. And remember, these weekly impromptu speeches, they're really practice speeches. They're designed to find out where you're strong, where you're weak, and how we can fix it. Okay, that's basically what we're doing. As well, well, let me finish with your evaluation. Your object, the tie. It was good. You showed us. But right in the beginning, you kind of revealed the topic when you said about the tie. So I would kind of approach it in the way that somebody did a little earlier. I think it was Joel when he said today, something we're going to talk about is, and then whatever else you said about the tie, but don't actually tell them it's the tie, right? So you had to try to figure out how I could do it without telling the people I'm going to talk about this tie. Okay. But I mean, it was okay. It was okay. And you certainly did describe it well. You gave us some new information, and that's another thing about informative speeches. You want to try to give new information that make perhaps people don't know about it. So you did give us some good information about those colors, what they mean. You know, it's intentional when the designers make them. The colors are very intentional. That goes with the style. Your the first main point definitely had two ideas. You said we're going to talk about how it works and why it matters. So remember, main points, central ideas, specific purposes, they can only have one idea. Okay. Some was good, visual was good, eye contact, yes, increase. Okay. Introduction, I did like it, and I love that ending. So I think everybody could see that ending, right? And he didn't say thank you at the end, did he? It was just fine, wasn't it? With him not saying thank you at the end. It kind of signals to people because it's just so used to hearing it. But it's not a good idea to just totally end your speech with the end. All right, good job, Jonathan.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Who's next?
I can go next.
Who is that? That said,
Victor.
Okay, Victor. Okay, we're ready.
Ready? Okay. The object I brought today, it might be older than some of you in this class, and some of you may see this item and have this nostalgic feeling. It is a small device fits in your hands, and it changed how people listen to music. It's not a phone, it's not a CD player, but back in 2005, it was the one of the coolest things you can own, you could own. It is a iPod 5 generation, the black and fat model. Today I'll show what it could do and why it changed the music forever and the way you consume music. Because this device it could fit thousands of songs, full albums, all in your pocket, and didn't use Wi-Fi, no streamings, no internet, nothing on here. Everything was saved in this device. This device fits 30 gigabytes of data. It has this cool click wheel spin. It makes like a click when you touch it. It's not working anymore, but when it was working, when you rotate, it could click. It's not touch screen, it's mechanical. So even playing videos in this screen right here, I don't know if you can see, whatever. So you can watch shows, music videos, movies, all on this true 2-inch screen. It felt so futuristic at the time. Before this, music was stuck in one place, in your car, in the city, in your home, pretty much just CD or tapes for people who still use tape back then. This iPod, it made music portable. Your whole library fits here and you could take everywhere. And also became a symbol because it came with this white headphones when Apple started to trend those cool white headphones. It became a status thing. It started the way we live now, music anywhere, anytime. So this 30 gigabyte iPod wasn't just a tech, it was a turning point. It made music personal, portable, and constant. Now we have unlimited songs all in one click, but this device here was just the beginning, was where everything began. This chunky little brick walked so Spotify could run.
Ah, okay, I love that ending. That was a great ending. You met the time. Your introduction was great. And Jonathan, you see how he teased us in the introduction about his item?
That was good.
Teased us some. He never told us what it was. He teased us into it. And we're like, so what is he going to say? That's what we want to do when we do our attention getter, when we present our attention getter. We want to tease the audience, reel them in. Okay, that was a great introduction, Vitor. Closing remarks, excellent. You had great eye contact. And now the effectiveness of your visual, because you have that remote background, when you move, you know how sometimes if you get out of the view.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So you have to be mindful of that
Mm-hmm.
When you're actually, presenting your ideas,
Mm-hmm.
what you look like on camera. So that was the only thing I would say about that. But you did show it, and you did show us how it worked. And I like how you said, yeah, it was mechanical back
People
then.
can see and think it's
But we
touchscreen.
thought that was like one of the coolest things when it first came out. Oh, wow. Like you said, it was small,
Yeah.
portable. You could take it with you. You could create your own list, your own playlist. It was quite futuristic at the time. You're right. And that's why I really loved your ending, because you said how it was the precursor to what we have today. So that was really good. And that's what I want you all to try to think about. You can't be, I call it lazy, when you repeat the specific purpose as your closing remarks. You say, and that's why that person's my impressive person. And that's why and then you repeat the three main points. You don't, we passed that now. We're at the very end, and we need to feel like we're at the end, not at the beginning when you're telling us what that specific purpose is. So be mindful of that for everyone. All right, good job, Vitor. Good job.
Thank you.
You all are doing very well. When I look at what you're doing now compared to the first day, the first speech, that personal challenge speech, you're coming along. And it takes some time because, again, you never really took a class like this, right? You never really took a class in speaking before. We're so used to writing, and we don't understand that when we speak, we can't speak as we write. We have to be more intentional about what we're saying. And repetition is key. When you can, use that same pattern of wording for your main points. It helps the audience to know. When you come up on that second main point and you're starting it just like that first main point, it indicates, along with that connective that you're going to put there, if you're going to put one, it indicates to that listener that, okay, that's the main point. And then the third time you come around, or fourth time you come around, and it's the same pattern of wording, it helps them to remember. It helps them to identify, oh, this is the main point. Because we can't always pick it out just by listening to it. That's why you preview them before you start talking about it. Right? Good job. Who's next?
I could go.
Okay.
You ready? Okay. Believe it or not, our everyday lives have been hugely impacted by one invention. This item is our smartphones. The smartphone has evolved into an everyday lifesaver. Today, we'll explain how our phones have replaced many everyday objects and how useful of a tool cell phones have really become. A cell phone is a portable device used for wireless communication. The first mobile phone call was made in 1973 by Motorola engineer Martin Cooper, but cell phones didn't become widely available to the public until the early 1990s. Over time, they evolved from simple devices used only for calling into powerful mini computers that we have today, such as, an iPhone. The smartphone simplifies our lives by replacing many objects and combining them all into one. When we need to take pictures, we no longer need cameras as it's built into our phones. Similarly, we need no more GPS systems. You don't need to use your car GPS. You can use your phone immediately. You no longer need flashlights. You just turn it right on. Simple as that. And then even further, we don't need landlines. You can make your phone calls anywhere, as well as FaceTime calls. You don't need MP3 players. You don't need video cameras, calendars, alarm clocks, as well as many other things. Our cell phones are also very helpful as a tool. We use them for things like notes, lists, keep our contacts, and even write emails. These small details allow for our everyday lives to be that much easier. The iPhone has many uh, the iPhone has many uses for every individual. Today we learned how cell phones replace many everyday objects and how useful of a tool the cell phones really have become.
Okay. All right. You had great eye contact. You did it within the time frame. You were effective with your visual. You showed us, you demonstrated what it does. So you did that very well. Your closing remarks were good. You had a lot of information about it. I liked your introduction, your attention getter. You didn't reveal. So that was good with your introduction. I think we could work on those main points a little more to be a little more clearer. But for the most part, you did a really good job with that. Oh. Losing everything, baby. All right. We're running out of time today. It's already almost 9 o'clock. 8. We got 13 people. 13. Okay, we have 7 more speeches to go. So we'll see how many we could get through. I did want to talk a little more this week. The preparation outline is due. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick this up again next week for the rest of the speakers. So for anybody who didn't go this week, we'll let you go next week. I did just want to make a few comments. Number one, I didn't see anybody putting any names in the persuasive speech topic page. Last week, I went over how you can contact your classmates. Now, if by next week you still haven't made a group, I'm going to make a group for you. Okay? I'm going to put you in a group. And then you can go through the page and you'll see it. So if I don't see it by Sunday, if I don't see that people have gotten a group, I'm going to put you in the group myself. Because you do need to start at least thinking about getting together, thinking about what you want to talk about. Okay. Now, I finally did finish all of your impressive person speeches, and I just had a few comments that I want to talk about so that you don't continue on doing these things. These are the things that are glaring, they stand out, that some students still have not gotten the full understanding of. So number one, more than one idea. Okay, you can only have one idea. If you say in the main point, I'm going to tell you how it works and why it matters. And is the operative word that you probably have two ideas here. Skipping the written central idea. You want to make sure you do that written central idea because that's going to really help you with that preview. Remember, that central idea, we literally make sure we write down what are those 3 main points or however main points you're using. You don't have to have 3. The closing remarks, again, need to be lasting and memorable. Try to cut out that thank you. Yeah, I know it's hard, but try to do it. Expressing the main points. As I said today about Muhammad, you can't just piecemeally give a partial sentence. Don't use pronouns in your main points. Say what it is you're talking about in the main points. Connectives. A lot of people are forgetting to use connectives. They are very, very important. They help you. They help the audience. If you're telling the audience, okay, so we just spoke about this, now we're going to move on to that. All right. It helps the audience to remember what you're getting ready to say. People still aren't using the templates properly. Don't write everything. Some people are just, they get the template and they write Roman numeral I, first main point. No, the Roman numeral I tells you that's the main point. You don't have to have the same exact main points that's in that outline. Remember, I told you I wanted it to fit on one page. So that's why you have just one example of a subpoint, a sub-subpoint, a sub-sub-subpoint. You just have one example of it because it is an example. That doesn't mean that you should do it exactly like that. That's the system of symbolization and indentation. It's important. You're going to get graded on that. You will see that in my comments. If you don't know that the main point should be represented with a Roman numeral, we're going to know that. Okay? You don't put any labels in front of introduction, body, conclusion, the 3 parts of the speech. Don't put anything. Don't put Roman numeral, don't put an A, don't put stars, don't put anything in front of it. Nothing goes in front of it at all. They stand alone outside of the system of symbolization. For your informative speeches, remember, the informative speech is for you to convey knowledge and understanding. Keep the opinions to yourself. No opinions can be present in an informative speech. It's just the facts, Jack. No calls to action in your closing remarks at all. Okay. Again, don't forget, read this. Look at the lecture. about informative speeches so that you will use those things and have all the information that's required for you to get your grade. Any questions at all?
I do have one,
Okay.
Vitor. Um, is group of 4 people for the persuasive speech?
Yeah, probably gonna be 4.
Okay, I also want to say that I put my name on the list, so if anybody wants to go there and put your name too, it's
Okay. It's
right.
in, I think, week 8.
Yeah, week 8,
Page, I
yes.
think it's in
Yeah,
week 8
yeah.
module.
Yeah.
So once you go in there, put the information, anybody else can go in there and put your name in there. Now you might not have the topic right now because you haven't gotten together, right? So just erase the topic that's in there where you put your name, erase that topic. If you have a topic, you could put it there. Anybody can put an idea there, but once you all get together, you're going to have to democratically decide what you're going to do, what you're actually going to do your speech on. What topic are you going to pick? So you can put topics, make suggestions, but you're going to have to come together collectively as a group to decide on one. Okay, so anybody can put a topic in there if you like. If you don't know one, you don't have to put it. Any other questions? Now, next week, I want you to do a little prep before you come. We're going to do science night. We're going to deliver a group speech next week. So we'll have some time to finish up this and then do our group speech. The articles that you are going to use for science night are already in your Blackboard. So read the articles. You won't know which one you're going to do until the night of the speech delivery. So go through, look at it so you don't have to spend time next week trying to read that information because that's what you're going to use to deliver your speech. So read it first, and then next week is just only a review. Highlight the main points about it so that you'll be able to use them and put them together, put those ideas together as an informative speech. Any question about next week's assignment? It's a fun one. You're going to enjoy it. And we'll pick a speaker. We'll pick
Where did you say we can go again to read about it?
It's articles for the science night.
Okay.
Is next week, the science night speech. It's going to be, actually, you can take turns to speak. Each person, says something like I told you about the persuasive speech, where one person might get an introduction and a conclusion, another person gives the main point, another person gives another main point. So break it up so everybody gets a chance to speak next week. But you're going to put the speech together. You're going to develop it as a group. Okay. Any other questions? If you have any other questions, you can always email me. The preparation outline is due on the 6th. Okay. All right. It's 8:59. Have a nice night, everybody, and be safe. I'll see you next week.
Thank you,
Good night,
Professor. Have a
Professor.
good night.
Thank you. Good night, Professor.
You too. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Savannah.
Professor, just want to let you know. I did something, it completely missed my mind. I did my preparation outline for the upcoming assignment for the informative speech, but I completely forgot to post it. I posted it yesterday, so I was maybe 3 or 4 days late.
You mean the working outline?
Yeah, yes, Professor.
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
look at it. I'll look at it.
yeah. I just wanted to let you know because I did it, but I was doing the other assignments and it was like a little bit too much. So I completely blanked on that one, just completely forgot about it.
It's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you. You have a good night. Yeah.
One thing, let me